To the Public Safety Committee meeting. Today is Monday, July 25th. It is 9:45, and I am joined by Councilmember Dennis P. Zine. If we can have the first item.
Morning, John White, City Clerk. Item 1, Board of Police Commissioners and CO report relative to a 2011 Off-Highway Motor Vehicle Recreation Program grant award in the amount of $167,820 from the State of California Department of Parks and Recreation.
All right, this looks pretty self-explanatory, and there's no impact to the general fund, so I don't have any questions on this. Mr. Zine?
Well, if you were a motor officer, reserve officer, chair, maybe you'd have a couple questions. If I could have the experts please come forward. Well, there is one expert, two experts, three experts, and four experts. My colleague, our chair, who's a fine member of the LAPD Reserve Corps, who's now a motorcycle rider, knows that motorcycles have a certain shelf life. And the question I have is, they had dirt bikes for these programs. The equipment that they have now, is that the old equipment? Is this grant going to give you dollars to get new equipment, state-of-the-art, or are you still back with the old equipment that we've had for many years when the auto detail was established? Take it away, Cap.
This grant
Your name, please?
was awarded.
Your name, please?
Oh, Captain Ivan Minsal, M-I-N-S-A-L, Valley Traffic, Los Angeles Police Department.
Okay, he just needed that for the record.
Okay.
So the issue is equipment. Is this just taking care of the salary compensation, or is this providing to give you folks the equipment you need to do the job?
This is all for equipment, sir. It has nothing to do with salaries. It has to do with the replacement of one motorcycle, actually the acquisition of one additional motorcycle to give us 6 vehicles as opposed to 5, so we can put 2 teams out of 3 to do the off-road details. A computer, the laptop, and the GPS to account for our activities and provide locations for us. We transmit information to the LAFD if we needed an emergency situation. We find a victim down or such in the field. And then first aid equipment and uniforms and such that wear out and need to be replenished. And that's what we'll be doing with this grant.
So this is going to take care of the equipment needs for the personnel. What about the salary in that aspect?
The salary will be part of our normal deployment, and there must be a little bit misconception. It's not for $167,000. This grant we were awarded, since this is our first time, for $14,591.
What happened to the rest of it?
Well, the state only awarded us this much.
Oh, so the 167 is not accurate?
Correct, sir. We requested the 167. We were granted $14,591.
Oh.
Which it says here in the report.
Correct.
Yes.
In the attached report.
Yeah, I read that. That's why I didn't ask the
It
question.
also says on the headline, relative to the grant of 167,820, but then the report it goes down to 14,591. So in other words, you requested okay, so the gap, 14,000 versus 167,000, what would you be able to get with the remaining balance if that was available?
If we've got the whole 167,000, we would be able to replace all our motorcycles, replenish part of all our equipment, emergency equipment, as opposed to just replacing the aged ones.
I see. So this is going to take care of some of it.
Correct, sir. If we had the 167,000, it also would include training additional officers for the off-road detail, because currently we do that with the Sheriff's Department, and there is a fee we incur, and they would take care of all that. But we've got roughly just under 15,000, and we'll put it to the best use we can.
Fantastic.
2 sergeants and 8 officers. I'm not done yet.
Okay. Well, I'll allow you another minute.
Sergeants.
Another minute on the clock.
Are you the 2 sergeants involved?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So if we could find some more dollars, then that could help you purchase more equipment. And those dirt bikes, the other ones you have, how old are they? The existing stock?
10 years old. 10 years old.
About 10 years old.
10 years old?
5 of them are 10 years old. This one will give us a new one and a 6th one.
And how are the other ones holding up?
They're okay. They're not perfect. Our Motor Transport Division has worked miracles keeping them alive. They're aged, but they're in good shape.
Okay. And the difference in the funding, the state just didn't have the the additional dollars, but
Correct.
that money's generated from off-road license fees. So do we know how much is in that pot to generate statewide? Because not everyone has an off-road enforcement detail.
No, sir, but we also competed against other agencies, such as the sheriffs, the LA County sheriffs, and other agencies that do throughout the state, and that's what was allocated to us.
And any other traffic divisions get any share of the pie, or is just you?
Just us, because we have the only off-road detail at Valley Traffic,
Okay.
and this was definitely designed for off-road enforcement.
Okay, no, it's a great program. I know I saw during the Carmageddon, the fire department got some off-road bikes.
They actually came to talk to us for a couple of pointers, and then they were given some opportunities, so we were actually ready to go with them. As you know, the off-road detail's been in existence about 20 years,
Right.
and so it's new for the fire department, and we've been a source of information for them. In addition, we want to work with them as they develop their program, so when we go out into the off-road environment in the foothills of Devonshire area, Foothill area, Mission, Topanga, Griffith Park, we can work in partnership with LAFD and render emergency aid to those that need it.
Okay, great. Well, I hope we can find some more money to expand, especially during the summertime. It's a valuable program, because a lot of folks go off-roading illegal, and it creates quite a problem out there.
Yes, sir.
Recommend approval, Mr. Chair.
Great, thank you. So, communication from the chair, a second from Zine. Thank you very much, and thank you again for all your help on this and going after the grant and this detail, which is critical, particularly in the valley and in the hills, and we really appreciate it. So be safe out there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
All right, and then item 2, it looks like it's straightforward on the report, so I would recommend that one just go consent. It's a reprogram.
Item 3, Board of Fire Commissioners report relative to the Fire Department's 2010 brush clearance assessment hearings report and proposed appeal decision and recommendations.
Captain Knight, you were just here like a couple months ago. What happened?
Comes real fast, sir.
Good morning, how you doing?
Good morning.
You'll see how frequent this issue comes up.
Yes.
Captain Knight is a patient individual.
All right, we have 2 speaker cards on item 3. The one, again, from Sarah Tall, if you want to come up. Join us at the table. And before you begin, if you can let us know what page Mrs. Tall's item is on.
Yes, sir. It's in the brush clearance assessment book. It's on page 131. As we recall, last week Ms. Tall was here, and she stated an additional claim, different from the hearing officer's appeal that was took place on May the 25th. We were directed by Public Safety Committee to go out and verify her new claim, and we done so.
Mrs. Tall? Do you have any new information, or you want to add to the
Yes,
record?
I was here last Monday, and then right next day, Tuesday, 2 inspectors came to my property and showed me the right property line, so I learned, knew my property line. Thank you very much for that. And when 2 inspectors came out, they inspect the hillside. As you see on the page number 2, I draw the property lines there, and lot 53 is the subject property. When they came out, they look at the lot 61, 62, 63, 52. Actually, my property was the best condition. None of them, those properties, 62, especially 62, 63, and 52 weren't touched. So inspector said, they told me they're going to cite them, but since my lot was the corner lot, I got, I got cut, and then I got so much of the money that I have to pay. The reason I'm here is since the other property wasn't even got a notice once, but they never did any work. But the last page that I submitted the evidence, I spent the $700. I cut down the dead trees and I cleared all that thing. Now, there are some more work need to be done, I understand it, but at this point, I'm a single-parent divorced mom, and I don't have money with all that assessed money. I'll pay for the city workers who came out, did the clearing, $400, but please waive that reinspection fee of $300 some, and then the administration fee of almost $1,000. I don't have money for those things to pay. So that's why I'm here today.
Okay, thank you. And so it sounds like the matter was cleared up in terms of the property lines, and we figured all that out and
Yes,
straightened it out.
Yes.
The administrative fee is not something that the city of Los Angeles actually makes a profit on. It's a cost. It's just the same as, we have to spend the money on hiring crews to come out and clear the property and the debris. Well, it's the same thing as the city time and the resources and staff and generating the reports and filing with the clerk, with the courts and processing all of these are actual just cost recovery items to the city of Los Angeles. So with that, my question is, do we have a payment plan that we can offer, and do we have those in these types of scenarios?
Not at this point, since she is just now raising financial hardship, what will actually happen with her if she is unable to pay it, a lien will be placed on the property.
Okay. And then with a lien, though, I would imagine there's additional fees in placing a lien, or is that all included in the administrative fee?
Yeah,
It's all
It's all
included.
included. Okay, so there's no cost on that. So with the lien, it just ensures that the city and the citizens of Los Angeles are protected in recovering their costs, and these are out-of-pocket costs. Could it be paid off over time once that occurs as well? Can a payment
She
plan
would-
be put in place if she's claiming financial hardship?
The actual liens are done through the county assessor's office, so she would have to deal with the county assessor's office.
Okay, but once the lien is placed, do they have a hardship program that we're aware of? Have other people worked out payment plans with them?
My past knowledge in dealing with the county is there is actually not a payment schedule that they would put the property owner on, but they will take a payment and continue to take monthly payments until that lien is settled.
Okay, so the lien can stay on the property in perpetuity until the property is sold or transferred title?
Correct.
And then in that meantime, though, you can pay, somebody can just pay whatever they can afford over time?
Correct.
So you can, in essence, really have 20 or 30 years to pay this off without any additional late fees or costs, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that sounds reasonable.
Why couldn't we do a payment plan with the property owner before it goes to the lien? Could we give a certain period of time to pay this before we assess the lien? Say you have 6 months or 9 months, whatever, pay it. Otherwise, we're going to send it in for the lien. Do we have that opportunity?
No, we have a strict deadline with respect to the lien, and the lien date is August
August the 8th.
8th. All the property moves forward where there's been failure to pay. It moves forward for liens to be placed on the
Who
property.
establishes that deadline?
The deadline is set by the county assessors
I know,
so
but
that they can,
we give it to the assessor to put the lien on.
yeah, that's to make the timeline so that it will be on the property tax in a
Oh,
timely
for the
manner.
next property tax.
For the next
All
property,
right.
yeah.
They got it, I see. Okay.
Okay, and the lien is basically, so I understand it, we do that so we can secure our position
Absolutely.
with an asset.
That's
Okay,
correct.
but there's no cost, there's no late fees once the lien is assessed, there's no additional administrative fees. I mean, this is actually, in some regards, better than, from what it sounds like in the program, a payment plan, because there aren't...
We don't want to advise at this point on the conditions of the lien, because as I said, Janet
That's up to
Jackson,
the-
City
okay,
Attorney's
got
Office,
it.
it is with the county.
Great.
Let me make that clear, because I dealt with one of those recently where the county, this individual's property was put on lien, the county wanted the money, and they wanted the full payment period, and that was it, or they were going to set it up for sale. So I wouldn't advise on whatever conditions the county has, other than it goes to lien, and it's a county situation. So
Yes.
whatever
Right. Got
whatever
it.
provisions take place in the county,
It's up to the county.
we don't have any control over that. So you either
check
pay it
with them.
before it goes to lien, or you goes to lien and then deal with the county. That's the bottom line for it.
Okay. And it sounds like there's some time even before it goes to the county. When does that time period start? When do you send
August the
it?
9th.
Oh, August 9th. Right.
August the 9th.
Not a lot of time. Okay, a couple weeks. Okay,
May I speak?
certainly.
Okay. Do you have this picture, sir?
I do. That was the one you submitted last week.
No.
Oh, this is a new
I
one?
brought it today.
On your desk.
Mr. Chair,
Oh, Mr. Zine had it. Thank you. For sharing.
my pleasure.
Yes.
Okay, my property is lot 53. And you see on the hillside, excuse me, that brown one, that tree, they're causing all this problem. Now, the two inspectors came out last Tuesday, and they inspected all that hillside, especially lot 63 is owned by the fire officer. And then the situation is all same. Nothing has been done. But I'm the only one on the 53 lot because on the corner lot. And then even I cleared 2 days before, the city workers came out and cleaned it. I worked on the property. So at this point, I didn't get treated fairly. I did work on the,
Okay.
2 days before.
Well, I
So
understand,
all
but
I'm
this,
asking you is the high fee that even put it on the payment, still it has to come out of my pocket. I don't have money, sir.
yes. Okay, well, again, and understand your concern and where this is coming from. As the city is concerned, and I will just address this in the final closure on this item, I understand the financial issue. The issue, however, if you start looking at the photo that you just presented, and you see all the properties around there in the hillside, that all this dry brush and debris is a severe fire hazard. And the concern comes from, and I understand $300 for reassessment fee is a high number, and you're concerned about the price on that. Our concern is that if this whole entire hillside were to get engulfed in a fire, if a fire were to spread through here, you can see all the other homes that would be impacted. And this is, I believe this is a high fire severity zone as well. And right now we're experiencing tremendously high heat and very dry conditions. And there's a big concern over this area because there are a lot of fires every few years that sweep through here. And we have to go through here with all of our fire and police personnel to do evacuations of all hours of the night. And homes are threatened and lives are threatened. And so this is extremely serious when we're talking about brush clearance and making sure that it's taken care of before it gets to this point. The notices are sent out well in advance. In fact, when you purchase a property in this area, there's usually a disclaimer that says in your escrow, and I don't know if there was one in this case, but oftentimes there are, that says that you live in a high fire severity zone, that this is an area that you need to maintain. They let you know, and you can see here just in plain sight, just from these photos, all the hillside and the dry brush and debris that has to be cleaned out regularly because it's threatening so many other homes. And so I understand the concern over a few hundred more dollars. My concern is the concern over tens of thousands of dollars or lives that could be at stake, and that's why it's taken so seriously, and this is such a big issue. It's not that they're just doing it because they have nothing better to do or the fire department doesn't have any concern over this area. This is a tremendous area of that concern, and that's why I wanted to share that with you, so you understood that. So we'll go ahead and move this item unless we have any other input.
Deny the appeal? Deny the appeal?
And deny the appeal, yes. So, thank you very much. We have another speaker card from Susie Chang
On this item?
on item 3 on another property.
She did not appear last week for the appeal to her hearing, but she did have a hearing, and her hearing notice is on page 133 of the book.
133?
Correct?
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Chang?
Okay, I have 2 points I need your help with. The first one is the cost. Actually, I had my gardener cleaned every single time, received notice. And one day, somehow, when I came home, it got cleared again. So I was wondering, then I realized it was done by city-appointed contractors to do that. but the cost of the clearance was $150, which they did a very minimum work. So to prove that I had done my job. But after this, I did not receive any, formal notice to say I have complied with, or the property is now in compliance with the brush clearance. But after this, after the clearance done by the city contractor, I still kept receiving the non-compliance notice. And so before May 19th of this year, I had it done one more time. At that time, I kept thinking, what was missing? So then I cleared one dead tree. And after that, last Friday, I received this in-compliance of the brush clearance. Perhaps because the instruction every time I receive or the notice of non-compliance was not very clear. So it was very difficult for me to follow. That's one thing. The second thing that I want to say is the paper, the copies that you have on your hand of my husband was laid off last Friday. So at this point, my income, my paycheck, will cover all the necessary insurance and house payment. So if I have to pay this, either I starve or I pay you.
Okay, thank you. As you heard, talking to Mrs. Tall, now, one of the seriousness of this, you'd said that you didn't receive it, and then you said that when you did receive it, that the information wasn't clear. So I'm trying to figure out, in fact, did you receive it or did you not understand it? Let me just finish going through these, just so I understand. And first of all, I'm sorry to hear about your husband's job. It's really tough out there in the economy. We constantly hear about these issues, and as we explained earlier, and hopefully you heard some of that what happens if you don't pay it, it will go as a lien to the assessor's office. It's not, it doesn't go to collections. In fact, it goes to the assessor's office as a different means of collecting. And so we're not asking you for a second to starve or not eat, but there's a process to which at least they attach it to the property to protect the city on this. I got a question for the fire department, and how many of these notices for brush clearance actually were distributed throughout this entire city of Los Angeles this year?
Well, for this year, the year we're discussing here actually is last year.
Sorry, for
2010.
2010.
Yeah, we inspect over 132,000 properties throughout the high fire hazard severity zone, and of that, we generally issue between 12 to 16,000 individual notices. There are several notices that we reach out to the property owner even prior to our brush inspection sweep. There is a brush informational brochure that goes out in March. There is also a self-inspection affidavit that also goes out in March. And then we do our inspection sweep starting in May. So that gives them 2 months to start getting ready for their brush clearance and start clearing their properties to get into compliance. We do an inspection in May. The property is found in noncompliance. They are issued a notice of noncompliance to comply. We re-inspect the property within 30 days. If it's still in noncompliance, we send a second notice of noncompliance out to the property owner saying that it's still in noncompliance. We go out a third time. There's 3 visits to the same property. And we will then post the property with a notice. So we
So this is actually posted physically on the property. So it's mailed all of these times, which...
That's correct. We
5 or
serve the
6
property
times.
owner in 2 ways.
Okay.
One through U.S. mail, and the second through an actual posting of the property, which we post on the property, identifying that the hazard is there. Fire department will be taking action within 15 days. So the property owner has enough time to contact our office for any clarification, and I'm not sure that happened in this case.
Okay. So this has gone on for it goes on for months in many of these cases where we've sent the mail, we've actually door knocked it, we've posted the property, and they have the opportunity. Is there a phone number if they have any questions that they can call?
Absolutely. There's a phone number, there's a website.
All the information in a website to put out. We inspect, you said 132,000?
That's correct.
Roughly properties. And it sounds like the majority of those 132,000 understand the seriousness of brush clearance, particularly in high fire severity zones, and the damage it could cause if it's not cleared. So with that, it sounds like you know, there's in looking at the protest that you'd submitted, the notification was received, and you state that you did receive them. You didn't state on the record before that you didn't understand it until today. And then, but it sounds like more like it's a hardship, a financial hardship, which,
Yeah,
again...
I agree with him.
Okay.
I do receive all the notice, but the notice wasn't really clear. And I agree with him, perhaps I should have contacted the fire department to understand better. Well, I didn't do that. What I did was just keep it clean. Every time I receive, I had my gardener to clear that. I just want to say I did, but not perfect to their standard.
But again, it's going back to this. The last thing I want to say on this is that their standard is one of safety. Their standard is one of protect not only yourself and your home and your property, but your neighbors as well. And particularly in this area, and I know this area well, this is not only is it a high fire severity zone, but it's one that we do have fires on. In fact, just 2 years ago, in this exact location, we had, and I worked LAPD that evening, evacuating people out of their homes because of a fire. And so these are very, very serious issues. One, the fire department in the city doesn't take lightly for that reason. They're trying to protect you, and they're trying to protect their neighbors and your family as much as they possibly can. And it's unfortunate when this happens and people just either don't understand it or don't do it correctly, but the city has to take these actions. So with that, I appreciate it. Deny your appeal, and we'll have to move forward on this, as I explained. Any other comments or questions from Mr. Zine?
Not on this particular property, but I do have a couple questions for the fire department. My question is, Captain Knight, does this book reflect all of the properties that have been assessed, or are there any other properties that are not contained here?
These are all the ones that have been assessed and that requested an appeal of their charges.
So the rest of them have already been resolved?
The rest of them have already been resolved, yes.
Because I will note, and I'm very, looking at some of the districts, in my district I have 10 listed in the list that have an issue.
Probably more than that.
No, there's only 10, I counted them. CD12 has a couple hundred. Do we do any kind of outreach in the districts that have a higher propensity not to comply? Do we do any kind of other public information or education to get them in compliance with the 200-foot radius that's required?
What we've done in the past is we have reached out to the homeowners association community groups that have regular meetings, and we participate in those meetings on an invitational basis. We've done that. Perhaps we would like to see a little bit more of that by some of the other communities that are out there.
Do we see greater compliance now than years past?
I would have to say it seems to be balancing out. We did find this year, and with last year as well, is there has been a high turnover of the foreclosure rate. So in order to track down property owners, we noticed that there are certain ones that just walked away from the properties.
We have an ordinance now that covers that whoever's holding the paper is responsible to maintain, otherwise you're getting a $1,000 a day fine.
That is correct. But we still seem to be getting the same around about the same numbers of non-compliance every year. We generally jump between 12 to 16,000, and we were at about 16,000 for 2011. So the numbers really haven't came down very much, and we think that certain property owners have just walked away and left the property as is, and the fire department can't leave it like that, so we take action.
Because I know in the last time there was a fire up in Granada Hills, Northridge, our chair and I were up there putting out fires with garden hoses because we couldn't get enough fire units. That's when the station fire was deployed all the resources. And when those homes are burning up and the people are trying to evacuate and it becomes a chaotic situation, in some of the places we used the garden hoses to help put the brush fire out because there were no apparatus available. And that was the challenge. And then we look at this to understand the compliance, why we have the 200-foot radius, to make sure that those properties don't get damaged. But I remember it was a couple years ago we were up there trying to help save what we could. So I'm just trying to find the link. If the people were to see the damage, then they'd have a different attitude.
Absolutely.
And then when they don't see it, well, it's just some weeds, just some brush. But when they see the consequences, as Mr. Engler and I have seen, it has a whole different focus.
We have 2 more cards on this. Thanks for pointing that out. And we have about 20 of these in CD 12. Close to 200, but yeah, 20 of these in CD 12.
Well, you have to add that.
Well, yeah, it's another digit, but, you know, who's counting? Call Mr. Gilbert Sanjarian. Am I getting that correct? Close enough? No, correct it for the record. I want to have it perfect. Shanazarian, okay.
This is not a continuation from last week, so we don't have any current information about it. We need this information in order to
I don't know if I'm
direct
supposed
you.
to be here or not. I went to Van Nuys office to check.
Just have a seat. Have a seat.
We have an address.
Is it the address here you filled out on the speaker card?
That's my home address. It
Okay.
doesn't specify whether if it's property address or not, but
Okay.
that's my home address.
It sounds,
We want the property.
yeah, we need the property address, but I think you need to meet outside the committee just to establish what the property issues were, and we're not even sure which property we're talking about. It's not on the agenda if
It's,
we don't have appeal specifically on this.
I can clarify. This is a non-compliance appeal that's not before this committee. That is before the Board of Fire Commission, and that has already been settled.
Okay, this one has
Okay.
been settled. I have this.
So if
That's
you want-
the confusion that I was having. I didn't know which bill is for what. That's why I went to Van Nuys office to settle it, but the lady called in sick, so I rushed over here being late.
That's right.
You know, I didn't know, and I have this one.
The fire department will be glad to meet with the gentleman to deal with any other issues that he has outside of his 2-minute public comment. If he would like to make the public comment here, he can, since he filled out the card, but the fire department can step back.
Is that okay? You can resolve it right after the committee?
I
Okay.
want to know what's going on.
Okay, absolutely. No, thanks for coming down, and we'll work with you directly. Just right after the committee meeting, or to make an appointment, and you can schedule it to meet. Okay. Perfect. And then the next speaker card is Bruce Wheeler.
Thank you, guys.
And I believe we have a letter. No, we don't. Okay.
Is this on public comment or agenda?
Agenda item 3.
Yeah, I guess I had the original appeal, and it was denied in Van Nuys, and so I wish to come before the Public Safety Committee
Okay.
to speak. The letter that I received from the fire department said it was denied basically because I said I did not have time. That was not the message I was trying to convey to the hearing people in Van Nuys. The fact of the matter is, I did not receive the first notice of noncompliance, which is why I was not able to bring my property into compliance in time. I purchased the property in 2007. A few months after that, I received a notice from the fire department to have my lot cleared. I secured a contractor. I had it cleared. I did not hear anything from the fire department until 2010, which I received a letter saying, requesting me to go out and inspect the property and provide photos to show that the lot is in compliance. I'm not an expert in that area, so I chose to pay a fee to the fire department to have them inspect it and let me know if it was in compliance or not. I did not receive a notice back from the fire department saying that it was not in compliance. The first notice, I received the second notice of noncompliance. And by the time I received that notice, I went about trying to contact my original contractor I had in 2007. He's been laid off and he moved out of the area, so then I contacted the fire department and got a list of 5 contractors. I was trying to get one of those contractors to come out and give me an estimate. It was like pulling teeth. Nobody wanted to go out and do an estimate. They would tell me they would meet me out there one day, no one would show up. And this went on the process of several days. And then one contractor agreed to meet me out there on 3 separate occasions. The first occasion, they didn't show up. The second occasion, they didn't show up. On the third occasion, they said they went out there and you know what, your lot has been cleared, Mr. Wheeler. And it turns out that that's actually a contractor that the fire department had already hired to clear the lot.
Do we have any information on?
I don't
No,
have
we
that
don't.
information. He was not here last week, so I need just APN number to reference what appeal we're...
Okay, so the appeal already, those appeals that already went on consent last week.
Yes, they've already moved forward.
Last week, you began your hearing on this, but today's the conclusion of it, so you're able to act on his appeal today.
Okay, we just don't even have the information of the property, the page number, or any information on,
We'll go to the page right now.
okay.
This will be on page 186.
$186?
Yes, 186.
Thank you.
Do you have a copy of the actual estimate? You said you got an original estimate from the same contractor? I'm reading your last appeal, and it says that you actually did get a written estimate, is what you stated in the appeal, from the contractor, and then by the time you turned around to hire the contractor, it says that he provided you an estimate, and that same contractor turned around and the city hired that contractor to complete the clearance work.
The contractor was Greenleaf. I don't believe they provide written estimate. Well, maybe they do, but she gave me an estimate over Greenleaf's. I believe they gave me an estimate over the phone. I got an estimate from actually two contractors, and I believe they both were over the telephone.
What was the estimate?
Around 300 and something, maybe $300 to $400, maybe 350, 450, something like that.
It shows they only charged you 165.
Yeah, that was the question I asked when I had my lot cleared this year. I was like, why is it that you were able to clear the lot for 165 this year, but last year, 165 last year, but this year you're going to charge me $300 or $400? And they said, well, they are able to negotiate and get like a group of lots, a group of parcels, so that's how they're able to clear the lot for less money.
And you get jammed with the administrative fee. That's $1,112. That's where the big cost comes in, the administrative fee.
Right. I understand I should be responsible for paying to have the lot cleared, but I'm hoping that I won't have to pay the administrative fee because I believe I was diligent in trying to get my lot cleared.
Well,
I just didn't receive the notice.
My question to you, though, is when the notices first went out, it says here that, is this your actual business address or your home address?
Yes.
And you live at the location?
No, it's a vacant lot. It's a vacant lot.
This is a vacant lot.
Yes.
It's Isabel?
Pardon me?
The location is 3306 Isabel?
It's 3300. It's next to 3306.
And you live in Carson?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And it's 3300 Isabel? What's the 3306? Oh, it says adjacent to. I see. And the mailing address in Carson is your address of record that we have with the county assessor's office. And that is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's the Carson address. Well, that's where, and according to the records, that's where the first information was mailed to. It wasn't mailed to the Isabel address. It was mailed to the Carson address, according to the record. And the record states that department records indicate that the property was, and it was also properly posted, but more importantly, and obviously posting a vacant lot doesn't do a lot of good if nobody's driving up to the lot to see the posting. However, it does say here, though, according to the department records, notices were sent to the current address as reflected on the official records pertaining to the property owner's address, and the department records do not indicate that any mail was returned. They track all return mail. So it appears that we've got the correct address. It also appears that you received the notices in a timely manner, letting you know that this was coming up in advance before it went to this stage. So I'm trying to find out why it wasn't taken care of well in advance of getting the final notices of action.
This issue was resolved, this is the same issues that were raised at the May 31st, 2011 hearing. And we don't believe any new evidence has been presented
Well,
at this appeal of the hearing.
That's what I'm seeing here as well.
well, what was conveyed in the letter was saying that, said I didn't have enough time. It wasn't saying that and then it mentioned that, well, you didn't, the letter wasn't returned, so therefore you must have got the letter. I believe you mentioned earlier that was 100,000 people that received letters, so are you telling me that not 1 in 100,000 piece of mail could have been lost?
It's more, as if you listen to the entire process, as it was explained, it's not just one letter. There's numerous letters. There's also a letter indicating a self-assessment. And in the totality of, through this whole process, how many total letters, including the assessment letter, including the original letter of notification, the self-assessment letter, how many notifications are actually sent forward?
If the property owner is in compliance, he can get still up to 3 notices in the mail. If he's in non-compliance, we can get up to 5 notices in the mail.
Okay, so
6 including the posting.
yeah, I have a hard time believing that 6 pieces of mail got lost. I could buy that 1 did, but yeah, that's pretty difficult. And we've verified just on the record just now it's the correct address. So I'm going to deny the appeal based on the fact that there's no new information, that there was sufficient time, and not to the point where it got to a notice of action, but just the information that was first presented. Based on what we're hearing again today, I'll go ahead and deny that appeal. Any other comments? We'll go ahead and move forward. Thank you. We have 1 item left for public comment. Ashley Franklin.
Actually, council members, before you move on with that, your formal action should be to approve the LAFD brush clearance recommendations.
Go ahead.
And there were no modifications this year, if that's correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay,
Correct. So we'll go ahead and approve.
thank you.
And the final speaker card, public comment speaker card, once again from Ashley Franklin.
Captain Knight, thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Captain.
Good morning.
Morning.
As you already know, my name is Ashley Franklin. I'm an organizer with the Community Rights Campaign, and I just wanted to welcome you, new chair, as City Council Member Englander. I am just sitting here today. In early April of this year, City Council Member Cardenas opened up an agenda item here at this meeting in regards to the daytime curfew law, Municipal Code 4504, where students and parents were able to give testimonies about the implementation of the law and how it impacts their families and basically their educational careers. That meeting opened and unlocked a lot of things for the campaign as well as students in LAUSD schools, one of them being LAPD released a new directive instructing officers to not ticket students who are tardy to school, as well as within a 3-block radius of their school campus. There was another thing. We have another meeting with City Council Member Cardenas, as well as LASPD, Los Angeles School Police Department, is also releasing a directive similar to LAPD. The impetus was for these things were made possible through this meeting, so we just want to thank you all for that. But we also see that this isn't the end. Those impacts are still real. Students are still receiving them. So we need the leadership of this committee to really push forward and champion for a repeal of LAMC 4504 or to amend the law in general. But Judge Nash and the Truancy Task Force are having a public hearing of their own coming up this August 23rd, and we'd like to invite all of you all to be there, as you all are key figures to actually make real changes to this law. So if you all can come out to that, that'd be great. And then my office will also send you all emails about the exact date and time of that event. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Ashley Franklin. This concludes the Public Safety Committee. We are adjourned.